There have been many political events that had to do with a ruler or a leader thought that they had divine authority. If you've ever heard of the French Revolution, prior to the 1770s, well, the 1790s really, people like King Louis XIV, 15th, believed that God had given them the divine right to rule. King James I and VI of Scotland, who created the King James Bible, believed that there was no representation needed by the common man. And that's later what jump-started the American Revolution. The idea that the king answers to no one except to God is a terrible, terrible way to govern a people. In my opinion, unless the people you're governing submit and choose that government has no legal or moral justification of being in charge. The government works for the people. And there are many leaders who have seized and maintained control and have murdered millions of people. Basically, every country under communism, Nazism, fascism, and authoritarianism, they believed that they deserved to rule because they were the highest evolved species. Especially if you are what we now call atheist. And don't get me wrong, there are many atheists out there that are awful people. Mass murderers. You look at most of the awful authoritarian leaders, they either believed in atheism or some belief that did not include God. That doesn't mean that atheism is bad. There have been more Christian or religious tyrants than there ever have been atheist tyrants. A lot of rulers, regardless of the century and time period they were in, believed that they had either a divine right or a military right to be in charge. People like Peter the Great of Russia, who was considered the best modern ruler of most of Europe and Asia. Russia used to be so much bigger than it is now. Russia, before the collapse into the Soviet Union in 1917, Russia used to be half of Europe. And Peter the Great modernized Russia at the expense of its people. Anytime there's great expansion and a lot of economical and religious expansion, you have leaders before, during, and after that either use some form of military divine or a divine right to be in charge. Ancient Egyptians believed that their pharaohs were gods themselves, that they were symbols of everything from Osiris to the god of the underworld. The Romans believed that Caesar, the leader of Rome, was either, depending on what century you're in, they believed that he was the son of God, a god himself, or a representative of God on earth. A lot of Islamic countries believe that they and their leaders are chosen by God, similar to the Jewish nation. Nepal, their kings were considered incarnations of the Hindu god Vishnu. The idea of the divine right of kings and leaders is still alive and well. You look at leaders of North Korea. They actually lie to their people and say that they don't have bowel movements, that they don't eat. And you'd say, why do they lie to their people? The same reason Trump lies to us. He has to maintain an image that he's unlike anybody else. if he's a human man who is under the same restrictions in body and spirit as the rest of us, he's not as fearful, or he's not going to be as feared as he wants to be. And this just isn't a male leader's agenda. Women do it too. Queen Elizabeth I in the 1550s, she changed her entire look to look like a goddess. And it's not surprising. A lot of the groups of people we took democracy from, or the idea of a republic, were all under kings who believed they were God or godlike themselves. And our country was founded on the idea that nobody and no thing is infallible. It's a harmful ideology that has killed, destroyed, and completely obliterated certain places. You look at Gaza right now. There's only one reason they're fighting. One group believes God gave them the land, and the other took it away. Instead of fighting, if they had an ounce of sense, they would divide it right down in the middle, and wherever you are, that's where you get. That's what you get. But they are the kinds of people that can't stop fighting. They don't want half. They want it all. And if they have to walk over their relatives to get it, they will. Because if you believe in the Bible, I don't, but if you believe in the Bible, Muslims and Jews are related. In the Bible, Abraham, his son Isaac, and Ishmael were half brothers, and their descendants became the Jews and the Muslims, or the Arabs, depending, not all Arabs are Muslims, but they are related, at least if you believe in Judeo-Christian morality. And every fight is either about religion or about an ideology that says we're better than you are. And we don't learn, do we? We don't learn. Every war America has been in for the past 200 years has been about one group of people thinking they're better than everyone else, and they try to take land that they don't own, or they attack somebody who's an ally. And you look back, all the way back to the Spanish War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. It was always about an evil group of people. Not all of them, but the people in charge believed their values and their ecosystem was more important than the innocent people that just happened to be there. And America's done some bad things too, don't get me wrong. The way we treat our own people is terrible. But compared to the other authoritarian governments that we've liberated, we are a walk in the park compared to people who kill off 40% of their population. But that's what causes wars. You look at 9/11, religious extremism. The Gulf War, one person decided because of their religion or ideology, they could seize Kuwait, which was an oil reserve. That every war since we've become a nation has been about somebody thinking they're better than someone else and that they covet what someone else has. Everyone thinks that the way they believe is right and everyone else is wrong. The us versus them mentality. We all just need to, focus on our own life. And if people don't unite groups of people, they're not good people. Bad people divide each other. Good leaders unite. They may have dubious morality, but good leaders unite people. Beware of leaders and authoritarian figures that divide people. Our president is an expert on how to divide and lay blame against people who barely make up 15% of the population. But as long as secular and religious people see the world or see themselves and their beliefs as infallible, that their wants and desires are the divine right of being a certain group of people, wars will never stop being fought. And a lot of people are dying, especially African American women, because one group of people believe that women don't deserve health care just because they're pregnant. It never ends. Live the life you want. Just stop taking away other people's right to choose. That's the difference between living in Gilead and living in Canada. And some days when I wake up, I live in Gilead, also known as the U.S. Luckily, we're not wearing red yet. Well, we are, but the oppressors are wearing the red, not the women yet. So that's something to keep in mind. Believe whatever you want. Just stop thinking you're special. Everyone has a right to be who they are. And if you want to take that away from people or think that your beliefs give you the right to take what doesn't belong to you, you're not special.